Okay, so picture this. Your best friend just got a new haircut, and it is not good. Like, really not good. And she looks at you with these big, hopeful eyes and goes, "So, what do you think?" And you just freeze. Your brain is doing like 10 things at once. Tell the truth, say something nice, find some weird middle ground where you're technically not lying, but also not really telling the truth. That moment, that tiny, horrible, awkward little moment, is exactly what we're talking about today.
Welcome to Let's Talk Real English, the podcast where we have real conversations in real English for real learners. I'm Eric.
And I'm Laura, and today we're going somewhere a little uncomfortable. We're asking the big question: should you always be honest? Like, always, always?
And honestly, no pun intended, this is one of those topics where everyone has a strong opinion, and there's no clean, easy answer, which makes it, I think, perfect for us.
Right, exactly. So, whether you're a student, a working professional, or just someone who's ever been put on the spot and had no idea what to say, this one is for you. And there's going to be some really useful vocabulary and expressions along the way, too, so stay with us.
Okay, so Laura, let's just get right into it. Should you always be honest?
I mean, my gut reaction is yes. Like, honesty is a value, right? It's something we're taught from childhood. Don't lie, tell the truth, be a good person. But then the more I actually think about it, like really sit with it, the more I realize it is way more complicated than that.
Way more complicated, yeah.
Like, take the haircut situation I mentioned at the beginning. If I tell my friend the truth, honestly, it looks terrible, what does that actually achieve? She can't uncut her hair, right? So now she just feels bad, and I've kind of ruined her day. For what? What was the point of that?
Right, right. And that's what we call, and this is a great expression for learners, a white lie. A white lie is a small, harmless lie that you tell to protect someone's feelings. It's not malicious. You're not trying to hurt anyone. You're actually trying to do the opposite. You're trying to protect them.
Exactly. And in English, we use that term, white lie, all the time. So if someone asks, "Does this look okay?" and you say, "Yeah, it looks great," even if you're not 100% sure, that's a white lie. Small, socially acceptable, and kind of expected, even. Most people do it without even thinking about it.
Yeah, and I think most people would agree that white lies are fine, like they're part of social life. But here's where it gets interesting, because there's a pretty big difference between a white lie and what some people call brutal honesty.
Oh, brutal honesty. Okay, say more.
So, brutal honesty is when someone tells you the truth, no filter, no softening, no cushioning, just bam, here's what I actually think. And some people really value that. They'll say, I'd rather know the truth, even if it hurts. And I genuinely get that. I do.
Yeah.
But sometimes brutal honesty is just an excuse to be unkind, you know? Like there's a saying in English, just because something is true doesn't mean you have to say it. And I think that's really important. The truth can actually be a weapon if you're not careful about how you use it.
That's such a good point. I think there's a huge difference between being honest and being blunt or even cruel. And sometimes people hide behind "I'm just being honest" as a way to say something really hurtful and then not take responsibility for it. Like it's almost used as a shield.
Totally. Yeah, a shield. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, real example. Imagine a colleague at work shows you their presentation. They worked really hard on it, and it's not great. There are some real problems with it. Do you tell them? And if you do, how exactly do you say it?
Right. And this is where, okay, this is a really useful language tip for our learners. This is where we use what's called a diplomatic phrase. So instead of saying, this is bad, you might say something like, I think there's some room for improvement here. Or, have you thought about maybe restructuring this part? You're being honest, but you're doing it in a way that's constructive, that actually helps the person rather than just making them feel terrible.
Yeah, and that's such a key word, constructive. Constructive criticism means you're giving feedback that actually helps someone grow or improve. You're not just tearing something down, you're building something up. And in professional settings, especially, this is like a really important skill to have.
Exactly. And for our learners, if you want to give honest feedback in English without sounding rude or harsh, some really useful phrases are, I think this could be even stronger if, or one thing I'd maybe reconsider is, or even, I love the effort here, but I'm wondering if all of these let you be honest while still being respectful.
Those are really great, supernatural. Okay, so let's talk about something I find absolutely fascinating, which is how different cultures approach honesty, because this is not the same everywhere. And I think a lot of English learners have experienced this firsthand.
Oh, this is so interesting. Yeah, go on.
So, in some cultures, and I'm generalizing here obviously because every culture is complex, in some cultures, being very direct is considered respectful. Like, it shows that you trust the person enough to be honest with them. Northern European cultures, for example, often value very direct communication. If something is wrong, you say it, clearly. And that's seen as professional and trustworthy.
Right.
But then in other cultures, many East Asian cultures, parts of Latin America, the Middle East, preserving someone's dignity and keeping the harmony in a group is often more important than being completely direct. So you might say things indirectly or find a way to soften the message really carefully, or even sort of avoid the topic altogether. And that's not seen as dishonest, it's seen as considerate and respectful.
Yeah, and this can cause so much confusion in international settings. Like, imagine you're in a meeting with people from really different cultural backgrounds. One person says something super directly, and the other person thinks they're being aggressive or rude. Or one person is being very indirect, and the other person thinks they're being evasive or even dishonest, when actually they're just both communicating the way they were raised to communicate.
Exactly. So there's this really useful concept: high context versus low context communication. Low context cultures tend to say exactly what they mean. High context cultures rely more on the tone, the situation, what's not being said. And neither is better or worse, they're just different ways of communicating.
That's such a useful framework. And honestly, just knowing that difference exists, it can make you so much more understanding when you're in a conversation with someone from a different background. You stop assuming bad intent and you start thinking, okay, maybe we're just communicating differently.
100%. Okay, so we've talked about white lies, brutal honesty, cultural differences. Let's get into maybe the hardest version of this question. What about when the truth is really important? Like, when should you absolutely be honest, even if it's difficult or uncomfortable?
Yeah, I mean, this is where I think most people actually agree. When the stakes are high, like when a real decision depends on having accurate information, you need to be honest. Like if a friend is about to make a really bad financial decision, or if someone close to you has a health issue they're ignoring, being kind in that moment might actually mean being honest, even if it's hard.
Right. And that's a really interesting way to think about it. Like, sometimes the most loving thing you can do is tell someone a hard truth, because the alternative, staying silent, saying everything is fine, might actually hurt them more in the long run.
Yeah, and there's a great phrase for this, a hard truth. Like, I need to tell you a hard truth. It signals that what you're about to say is difficult, but it's coming from a place of care. And there's also the expression tough love, when you're strict or completely honest with someone because you care about them and their future. It's not cruel, it's just real.
I love that. Okay, so, and I think this actually comes up a lot for language learners specifically, because when you're learning a language, you need honest feedback, right? Like, if you make a grammar mistake and your teacher or your friend just smiles and says, "Great, perfect," that doesn't help you at all. That's actually not doing you any favors.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
But if someone gently corrects you, actually, I think the past tense would work better there. That's the kind of honest, caring feedback that actually helps you improve. So, in a learning context, honesty is kind of essential. It's not optional.
Right. And I think the key word there is gently. How you say something is just as important as what you say. The exact same information can land really differently depending on your tone, your timing, and the relationship with the person you're talking to.
So true. And okay, one last angle I really want to bring up because I think it's the one people talk about the least. What about being honest with yourself? Because I think sometimes we focus so much on whether we're being honest with other people and we completely forget wait, am I even being honest with myself?
Ooh, this is big. Yeah.
Like, are you telling yourself the truth about your habits, about a relationship that maybe isn't working, about a goal you've been putting off for months or years? Self honesty is, I think it's actually the hardest kind because there's no one to check you, there's no one to call you out. It's just you and your thoughts.
Yeah, and there's this concept called self deception when you lie to yourself, basically. And we all do it to some extent. We rationalize things, we make excuses, we avoid looking at parts of our lives that make us uncomfortable. And it kind of feels protective in the short term, but it usually catches up with you eventually.
It always does, always. So I guess we're landing on is honesty is complicated. It's not just a simple yes or no. It really depends on the situation, the relationship, the timing, the culture, the stakes.
Right. And maybe the real skill isn't just being honest, it's knowing how to be honest. Thoughtfully, kindly, with the right words at the right moment to the right person. That's actually a really advanced social skill when you think about it.
I love that. Okay, before we wrap up, let's do a quick recap of the key expressions and vocabulary we used today. So, first, white lie, a small, harmless lie you tell to protect someone's feelings. Second, brutal honesty, telling the full truth with absolutely no filter or softening. Third, constructive criticism, honest, helpful feedback focused on growth. Fourth, tough love, being strict or honest with someone because you genuinely care about them. And fifth, high context versus low context communication, the idea that different cultures express honesty in very different ways.
Great list, and a few really useful phrases to remember. I think there's some room for improvement here. I love the effort, but I'm wondering if I need to tell you a hard truth. And one thing I'd maybe reconsider is all of these are going to make you sound so much more natural and thoughtful in real English conversations.
Absolutely. And here's your reflection question for this week. Think about a time when you had to choose between honesty and kindness. What did you decide to do? And looking back now, do you think you made the right call? There's no wrong answer here. Just sit with it. Think about it.
Love it. And if you want to share your story or your thoughts, find us on social media and leave us a comment. We genuinely read everything. We love hearing from you.
We really do. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend who's learning English, or honestly, just a friend who needs to think about this topic, because I think most of us do.
So true. Thanks so much for listening to Let's Talk Real English. I'm Eric.
And I'm Lara. Keep it real, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next one.